What's up, everybody? Today we're going to be working on the mini bikes more, although we do have the truck in the garage now, so that's kind of nice. Plenty of work to do on that, and we'll have a video section on that as well. But today we're going to be building some chain tensioners for these motors. I got these little rollers and some bolts and some springs, and we'll hopefully be mounting somewhere up in here. Maybe we'll run it off the shaft there, off the axle shaft. Not sure yet. But we need to make sure these are tight, because otherwise when we go around turn and we try to spin, the chain will fall off. So we're going to build those today. We got to do two of them, front and back, and we'll see what we can do. I have a couple pieces of aluminum that I've used in the past for other chain tensioners, and see how it goes. All right, we started drilling holes in the front fork of the mini bike here. I'll show you that in a second. There's a few reasons you don't want to do that, but it's okay in this situation. If you are doing something on a much larger scale, like a real motorcycle, the forces acting on your tubes here are going to be a lot higher, and especially when you sit on it, all the weight pushing down on the fork is going to want to make the tire go that way. So if you make too many holes in your down tube there, it'll want to bend out, and then you'll snap it and whatever. But because this is such a small mini bike, it's going to be going slow, and we're actually going to put a bolt through there, so we're essentially filling the hole that we just made. It should be okay. However, the other reason you don't want to do this is because you can be dumb like me. Not have control of the drill, and then it'll go straight through and into your tire, and then you'll get a flat tire. So that's freaking great. We'll have to figure that one out, but chain tension's coming along well. Alright, we got the chain tensioners on. They are not pretty, but this is a scrap build, so doesn't matter, they're functional. Let's see. So we got one for the front. I'll probably trim this down a little bit because it's freaking huge. But does keep it nice and tight. Got some spring in there, probably a little overkill on the spring, but I needed a short one, so got a spacer in there for extra stability so it doesn't twist in. And then in the back here we've got this guy, moves a little freer, kind of a soft spring. Might throw another one on there, but seems to keep it tension just fine. I did actually have it running a few seconds ago, and then I blew a fuse. It was a 10 amp fuse, so I put in a 20 amp fuse, which may not be the best idea because these motors are only rated at 13, so we risk burning those. But I don't know, let's see if it runs. I can't really run it because I drilled through the tire and I got a flat, but let's check it out. Killed it again. Alright, well, I keep blowing the fuse on this thing, so I'm not sure what we're going to do about that, but I will figure it out eventually. But for now, it's going to go in the corner, and we're going to do something else because it's very frustrating. Alright, so we stepped away from the mini bike for a while because I kept blowing fuses, and I blew a 10 amp fuse, I blew a 20 amp fuse, and I was like, oh dang, that's not good. However, this is why we step away, because it gives you time to think. I realized that we're feeding all of the power for both motors through one wire. That's this green one here, and that one has the fuse in it to the motor controller. Now the motor controller can handle 30 amps peak, so the motor controller has its own overcurrent safety. So if it gets overcurrent, it'll shut itself off and it's safe there. The fuse is really to protect the wires and all the rest of the things. So now I'm slightly worried that when I run 30 amps through that cable, it might get really hot and burn, which is bad. I should have anticipated this, but I did not, because I was thinking that the motors were only rated at 13 amps and, so a 10 amp would protect them. But that is incorrect, because I'm running two motors at 13 amps max, which is 26 amps. So I need to provide at least 30, at least 26, but most fuses come in like 10s or 5s. So 25, and that's too low, so we'll bump up to 30. So I gotta get a 30 amp fuse, and we'll throw that in there, and then, I don't know, if it's still blowing stuff, then I'll have to figure some other thing out. But the good thing is that the chain tensioners are done. So they are really ugly. Real ugly, but they work. All right, I got a 30 amp fuse now for the mini bike. So it runs again. I may catch things on fire here because these wires are rather small. And I have a flat front tire, so hopefully I don't crash. But I just want to see if it'll go, So let's see. All right, we'll see if this works. There's no brakes, so. It works! It works! Alright, after a little bit of the mishaps yesterday with the fuses blowing and other various things, tires popping, drilling into tires actually, but it's all wired up now. We got a secondary switch in there to control inboard or outboard power, and by that I mean inboard power is your batteries and outboard power is the charger, which is now on board. So you can select between those two power sources. You will not be able to run the motor while using the charger, which is good. We don't want to do that because we'd overamp the charger and possibly have some dangerous things going on there. However, a second benefit of having this inboard-outboard switch is that it solves that issue we were having before where the motor controller would start running the motors without a signal, and it looks like this. Oops. Oh, we did it too quick there, huh? Yeah, okay. It actually looks like this, where we switch on power and the motors just go for a second, which no one likes because that's just annoying and whatever. But we solved that by having this inboard-outboard switch. So we can go to inboard power, provided our motor switch is off, which we'll have it off. We can go to inboard power. It'll power on the Arduino and our battery monitor, so that you can set up your speed and all that. And now the Arduino is outputting signals to the motor controller. So if we then go and switch the motor on button, it's just ready to go. There's no spinning of the motor uncontrollably, none of that. So that's pretty cool. Plus we can check our battery without having to power up the entire mini bike. The other thing is that if we go to outboard power, which is to the left of the bike, or I think of outboard, it actually switches on the charger down here. Gives you a little bit of information about the batteries, what charge level they're at, if you're charging them, that sort of thing. And when it is on outboard power, you cannot run the motors. Nothing happens, which is good because we don't want to do that. So overall, it's kind of nice to have two switches. It I don't think I'll forget one or the other. So, I don't know. Obviously, less switches, less setup and maintenance is better. But this is really nice to have an outboard charger, so you don't have to, oh, I forgot my charger at home. I can't do anything. Whatever. It does run. I ran it a little bit yesterday, which I think you saw a little bit earlier in this video. This is like a 2-day video, even though it's kind of short. But I popped the front tire, so need a new one of those. Gotta make sure all the wires are routed up all nice and everything's mounted down properly, but then I think we're good to go. Other than brakes, we need some brakes still. The brakes, they're on the hub actually, so they're just drum brakes, like an old school thing, you know, like the truck. And I gotta get some brake lines, just, you know, like bike brake lines to squeeze the brakes. That will be mounted somewhere to the frame, and then we got one on the front right here that we will mount right to that frame, and then it's a quick shot up the down tube to the axle. I'm sorry, the axle to the handlebar. So other than that, it's looking decent. Maybe might give it a paint job. Probably not. Probably trim down that that chain tensioner there because it looks rather goofy. But other than that, it's pretty much done.